The man simply noticed that the rock looked like gold. So he immediately pulled out a blowtorch and heated it for a minute, since gold doesn't turn black when burned. To their surprise, after testing it, they discovered that the rock was indeed the purest gold. Seeing this, they instantly realized they were about to strike it rich, since they were in the middle of a desolate, uninhabited desert. As long as they dug it up, the gold bar would be theirs. So, without a word, they began digging, but no matter how long they dug, they couldn't reach the bottom, so the two tried to drag it out by force, but even when they strained with all their might, the gold nugget didn't budge an inch. It seemed this gold nugget was far larger than they'd imagined. Thinking of the sudden wealth they were about to acquire, they had no choice but to tie ropes around the gold nugget and pull it with all their might using a cart. But the gold nugget was as firmly rooted as a tree. No matter how hard they tried, it wouldn't budge. The two men had no choice but to continue digging by hand. To their surprise, even after digging for several hours, they still couldn't see the bottom of the gold, as dusk began to fall, and with the wild dogs in the area being particularly troublesome. So they gathered some wood and built a fire, to ward off the packs of wild dogs sitting around the fire. The two began to fantasize about a life of wealth, but daydreaming wouldn't do them any good. Their immediate priority was to get the gold out of there. When the next day arrived, Jack suggested borrowing an excavator from town, but that would take at least 5 days. Jack claimed he had extensive survival experience, making him the perfect person to guard the gold. But Mike got a little upset when he heard this, because he was the one who had stumbled upon this gold mine, and he wouldn't leave here even if it killed him. Seeing Mike's stubborn streak flaring up again, Jack could only tell him to be careful, because here, he'd not only have to deal with wild animals, but also prevent passers-by from discovering the gold. Then Jack handed Mike a satellite phone, and sped off with a burst of gas. As his companion's car gradually drove away, Mike quickly made his way to the gold mine. He carefully covered the surface of the gold with sand and soil, then used some rags to make a makeshift shelter, to ward off nocturnal beasts. Mike gathered some firewood, thanks to the deterrent effect of the flames. Mike luckily survived his first night. The next day, while searching for supplies, Mike was drawn to a glinting object. At first, he thought he'd found another vein of gold, but when he stepped closer to take a look, he realized it was the wreckage of a crashed plane. Without a second thought, Mike rushed into the wreckage. It was a nice spot to cool off for a while, but he soon grew restless, since he couldn't see the gold from this vantage point. He dismantled the plane wreckage, and dragged it back to his campsite. After tidying things up, he built a shelter. Looking at the glittering gold before him, Mike could no longer contain his restlessness. He immediately chipped off a chunk of gold, just as he was hesitating, thinking he'd settle for just this small piece. Jack suddenly brought some bad news. His car had broken down. He was currently in town getting it repaired, and estimated it would take an extra day to return. Mike told him he'd chipped off a nugget, so he hoped his companion would know when to stop. After all, this single nugget would last them a long time. But his greedy companion wasn't satisfied with that at all. He had to haul away the entire gold mine, so he demanded that Mike hold the fort. Hearing this, Mike had no choice but to agree. Little did he know that this delay was the reason Mike hadn't gathered much firewood. When night fell and all was quiet, the hungry wild dogs came looking for him. To save his life, Mike stood his ground against the dogs with a torch. If the dogs got the chance, they would tear him to pieces. So Mike spent the night in tension. As the pack of dogs gradually dispersed, Mike had hoped to get